lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast that prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's #1 lycanthrope, Jack Russell, a.k.a. the Werewolf, a.k.a. the Beast, a.k.a. the Shaggy One. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
And I'm Jacob Balcom.
And we're glad you're here listening. This week we're going to be talking about September 1973's issue of Werewolf by Night, which is issue number 9. We've got a returning writer, Mr. Gerry Conway, and we have a new artist that we'll be talking about. Before we dive in, there was some exciting news today that you wanted to mention.
That's right. So I saw on Instagram that friends of the show, Taboo and Ben, are going to be writing the new Ghost Rider series, which is great.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they said that the new Ghost Rider, or the Ghost Rider featured in this series, is going to be Kushala, which I can't remember how far back she was introduced. She was in War of the Realms, was in something before that. She's an Apache woman who's also like a powerful sorcerer. And yeah, she showed up in a Doctor Strange run a couple years ago, I think, that I actually read. But I'm not sure. I hope Jeffrey Veregi is going to be the main artist of this new series, but I don't think any artist has really been confirmed yet. But
okay.
The book sounds awesome and will be out sometime next year.
Very cool. Was that Jason Aaron's Doctor Strange?
No, it wasn't Jason Aaron's run. I can't remember now.
Okay. I just read that first volume of that run.
I love that run.
Yeah.
That's is that the one with Chris Samnee?
Bacalo?
Oh no, it's Bacalo. Yeah,
yeah.
No, you're right. It's Bacalo.
Does Samnee ever draw Strange?
That I'm not sure. I love the Bacalo run though. I have that whole thing. I loved it. I need to go. Yeah, now you've reminded me. I need to go back and reread that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Definitely an unorthodox take on Stephen Strange, at least for my reading. I'm not the most versed in Sorcerer Supreme books, but that was definitely an interesting approach to him.
Oh, it was great.
And that concept of kind of the economy of his magic he uses and the price he pays.
Yeah, that's a great.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a cool concept.
Yeah. So I'm excited to read some more of that. We can talk about some more of the comic stuff at the end, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So this cover is drawn by Mr. Tom Sutton and inked by, and he is drawing the interior as well. So we've got a return of the original writer and a brand new artist, and an artist that I've always really liked a lot. I mostly know him from Warren stuff. Honestly, I don't think I've read much of his Big Two work ever.
I knew him mostly from Skywald, just because of my association with Skywald. But he also was the main artist on a lot of the Skywald color comic books that were put out. I think he drew the lead story on The Heap.
Oh.
And then did a lot of the Western Gunfighters.
Okay.
Yeah, I really love the Skywald color comics. They're just so weird. They're square bound. They're a quarter. And there's like one new lead story and the rest are unauthorized reprints that he pulled from a myriad of different sources.
That doesn't sound surprising at all.
It's so awesome.
I also, as a kid, associate Sutton stuff with Charlton, like some of the Charlton monster and ghost books from the early 70s that maybe some of those were reprints. I don't know what those were, but I think that he drew some stuff for Charlton because I remember there's always like Gold Key and Charlton and some other books like that, Grimm's, stuff like that. But I remember his art being in some of those too and liking him a lot.
Yeah, his art is super cool. I mean, I think, I went back and kind of looked at the stuff he had done for Marvel previously. And I think it might have had to do with a kind of a more normal artist inking him, but it looked a lot more Marvel-y than even this issue does. I think this issue looks like it fucking belongs in Psycho #3,
Yeah.
Like it's so Warren and Skywald. It's that much more, I don't know. I call it a much more adult type of art. I think that's fair.
I think that's a good term to describe it, and I think it's a really good fit for this title. And
it's an amazing fit for this title,
and especially this issue, which we'll get into. So on the cover here, we have an interesting layout. It is bisected in the middle, and the top half of the cover is the street level of a city street in LA, and then below that we see the sewer, and the beast is being pulled down an open manhole by this strange character into the sewers. And this character he looks very strange. He almost looks like some kind of gothic, like Hunchback of Notre Dame or some kind of weird thing. He's got a red mask on and a tattered red cape and rags, and he's a very strange looking character. And it says possibly the year's most frightening thriller. And the first thing that I was really blown away by is like all of the line work from Sutton on here that he had to draw and then ink. Like in the sewer, every brick has its own like grain in it. And then they of like it goes beyond cross-hatching into like this. It's crazy. Everything is so textured in his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a preview of what the art is this whole issue. It's so detailed and so beautiful, and it's such a different take on Jack Russell than we've gotten before.
Visually, or you're talking about Conway's writing as well?
Well, definitely visually.
Yeah.
I think. But, I really love Conway's story in this, too. I'm just going to give you a little sense of what Gerry Conway is doing right now. So it's September 73. He's writing Thor, The Amazing Spider-Man, The Fantastic Four, and Werewolf by Night.
Jesus.
So Gerry Conway just turned 21, and he's in charge of all of Marvel's flagship books.
Wow.
Like his writing is the identity of the company, because like Stan Lee is checked out. Like he's either in Hollywood or on a like speaking tour of college campuses, shaking his fist at protesters, Yeah. So like this 21-year-old kid is like the soul of Marvel, but he still wants to do werewolf stories.
Yeah.
Like aside from doing this, so over in this month's Amazing Spider-Man 124, he turns John Jameson into the Man-Wolf. That's this month.
Yeah.
And so it's like the man has werewolves on the brain.
Yeah.
And I don't think just because they sell or they're popular, like I feel I'm probably reading too much into this, but he seems to kind of need them at this point in his life as a little bit of a release. Like writing a horror book is the fun part of his job, or at least the job that doesn't have like a ton of eyes on it. Like the rest of his workload had to be pretty stressful, right? I mean, like, holy shit.
You say he was writing Fantastic Four and Thor?
And Spider-Man.
Jesus.
So he's like, I really imagine, and I kind of got that feel from the story just because it's such a cool story. Like this is not a throwaway little arc here. Like this is really cool and sets up really important stuff for the rest of the title.
Yes, definitely.
And
good point.
He didn't have to come back to this, I'm assuming. Like he could have just probably let Len Wein do some more of this. I mean, Conway's moved on to the top tier books, but he obviously wanted to do this. Like he had an idea and wanted to come back for these 2 issues. I don't think this is a spoiler, but this is the last Conway we get, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
That's it. Like
I don't think he does any of the giant size, anything. I don't think he does anymore.
No, I think this is his final bow.
Or wait, he might write some of the text only stuff in Monsters Unleashed.
Does that count?
Well, yes and no, but we're gonna have to figure our way around that one when we get there. I was scratching my head about something on this cover.
Okay.
And tell me am I high, or is the anatomy of the beast completely berserk? Because above ground, where he's being pulled down, his back is to us. He's looking over his shoulder towards us, the viewer, and down at what's pulling him. And then if you go down below the concrete to the sewer, his legs are facing us. So it looks like he is an action figure that got turned around at his waist joint, like literally 180.
I was trying to figure out what action figure did that. Could G.I. Joes do that? I'm trying to remember which one could make that strange lateral move. Like,
I don't know. There was this weird one. Do you remember the guy that was blue? You remember the ones where everybody had a back and a front, and his name was like Prince of Power, like not Adam, that's He-Man. Something Power Prince something, and he had a orange jumpsuit on. He was like a bland dude with the 70s hair, and there was a button like on his stomach or whatever on his belt, and when he pushed it, his torso spun around 180 degrees, and he was blue with these red veins all over him and these like, glowing red eyes, and he had a red diamond in his forehead, and he was really freaky looking. But
wasn't he part of the He-Man universe?
No. This was a failed. Every character had an alternate, a different back that was like their powered up self, and it didn't take off at all. But I had him and I was obsessed with him.
No, I don't remember that at all. This is one of those weird things where we're only like 2 years apart, but I think that was just a tiny window in time I may have missed.
Yeah, they didn't take off at all. I think I got it at Sprouse Rights like marked down, and it was already like 3 months old. You know what I mean?
Awesome. But yeah, it is weird, and yeah, now that you mention it further, that's all I can see is just the impossible bending or swiveling.
Because there's that concept of that people talk about when they're kind of criticizing cheesecake art, and they talk about how that thing where it's like somehow these artists can draw a woman where you can see her breast and her ass at the same time.
Yeah, it's got some name. Complaint.
Yeah. Some kind of broken back kind of pose where it's all for the male gaze, right?
Yeah.
But yes, so that was my issue. I love Sutton and I love his work in here, but that anatomy of the beast on the cover was really weird.
No, you're right. You're absolutely not crazy. I have to add about the flourish of the rats with their impossibly long tails, like kind of tentacled around the sewer pipe there, which I love.
Yeah, that's great.
So, all right, I guess I'll move on to the title page. First impression on this is that it's an impressive page. Like just the layout, everything about this one, I really, really loved.
Yeah, so it's striking.
Yeah, at the top we have a row of 4 small panels showing the beast running through LA at night in the rain. And I guess to introduce this issue, I'm going to read the narration for this page.
Good, I think because I wanted to comment on it, so please do.
All right. First night, a new moon, and the return of my animal need. Through the dark alleys of the city I ran, searching, seeking, hunting for a way out. A route to the forest and my bestial prey. But I wasn't destined to reach the woods near Los Angeles, not that night. Other forces were at work, forces which worked to capture me and create terror beneath the earth.
And the art of the beast, this is like rain from the movie Seven. Like the rain in this book is just torrential. Like it's like you're in an aquarium. It's so wet. And he's just the beast just running over rooftops, jumping down to fire escapes, and just ranging around the city. Just great art, great dynamics.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I love and okay, I think we should mention right off the top that Tom Sutton does the lettering in this issue too.
Yeah.
Which you can absolutely tell.
Yes.
Like it's so cool, and it's one of those instances where the lettering really helps accentuate the mood of this issue.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I love it. I think this page is great. I love it. I'll let you talk about it on the next page. But the occupants of that car are pretty important.
Yeah, so there's a large panel on the bottom, and the beast is running out in the street. Traffic people are slamming their brakes on, honking. And there's a great shot of the beast looking at us, like as if we were in a car that almost hit him. And he's got headlights, sprayed across him, and he's reaching out his claw towards our eye, like the camera. So there's another splash page like that where the beast was in an alleyway when he's reaching out. It's kind of a cool 3D effect. This has that very much as well. I loved it. And we always say, that what's the old saying around here? The inking of the fur is how you judge the art. Everybody said it out there in podcast land.
They did.
I love the way he inks this. The beast looks so ratty and very woolly and wild.
Oh, it's just, it is untamed.
Yeah.
And yeah, we haven't seen the Beast look like this before. Definitely not this menacing. I think this is the scariest he's ever looked.
Yes. No, he looks more monstrous, particularly in contrast to Werner Roth's.
See, that's
where he looks
why
like
I
an
think
action figure.
Oh, it's so hilarious that these two issues were back to back. They could not be more opposite of styles.
So I was surprised before I read this today to take my notes and do my homework, I looked it up in the Grand Comics database and was looking at the list of characters introduced, and I thought there was a typo because it said Lynn Wein, Glynis Wein. And I was like, wait a minute, what? So the characters that we see slamming their brakes on are Lynn Wein and his wife Glynis.
Yep.
So they refer to each other by name, and they're saying, I knew I should have never come to L.A. This town's full of a bunch of freaks. And the Beast goes loping off through the biblical flood rain. There's one of those sewer grates like in It that Pennywise peeks out of. Yeah. We see a strange pair of bulging eyes looking up as the Beast lopes off, following his path. And then he starts talking, and he's got those weird word balloons that are all wavy and shimmery, so you know that he sounds unhinged and insane when he talks. And he's saying, it is him, it's the monster. Sarnak will be pleased. And he's looking out through another sewer grate, and he sees the Beast running off. And what's so weird in this stuff is that Sutton does this weird like Van Gogh Starry Night impressionism with the lights. Like, I know it's rain, so it's the light playing through the rain, but everything just looks drugged out and wavy and hallucinatory. And this panel of this character over his shoulder looking at the sewer grate into the rainy night is stunningly gorgeous. Like, the line work is so fine and so detailed. Like the veins on the hand and this crosshatch shading through the whole thing. And he does some who is this colorist?
It's George Russo this month.
Oh yeah, Russo. Some of the color choices in here and the palette choices were striking, a lot like in the way when we talked about in the first issue, where there was those monochromatic things where there'd be like blue, purple, and then this flashlight beam of yellow that's really disruptive. There's a lot of that stuff in here where it's like monochromatic, like Suspiria Argento kind of lighting, and it's just super striking. So the Beast is loping, this character is loping off through the sewers, and it's clear that he's chasing after the werewolf. And he wants Sarnak to be pleased with him, and Sarnak wants the wolf.
So the next page, such a cool top panel. Like, it's almost half the page, and it shows our villain for this issue pursuing the Beast above on the street, but we see him below in the sewer. It's kind of the cross-section panel like there was on the cover. And he's thinking he'll capture the Beast as Sarnak has commanded. At this point, what we think is like, yeah, like kind of, I got kind of a creepy Scarecrow vibe from him too.
Totally.
Like definitely like half Scarecrow, half Phantom of the Opera.
Yes, that is a very good way to describe his physical appearance. Yeah.
And so, yeah, he's pursuing the Beast from below, finds his manhole cover, kind of jumps out saying, "Monster, I have come for you." The lettering through this whole thing is so cool. And just, I don't know, it's not, I haven't seen anything like this in a Marvel comic, honestly. Like, this just has such a dark, rainy night feel. I mean, it's just perfect. I've rarely seen lettering match so great with the art.
Yeah, and I neglected to mention on the first page when you read that bit of copy of the narration that I wanted to say it was so Conway, and I was so happy that he was back. I do like Lynn Wein. I think we've been pretty open that we don't think he's the best fit for this character or this book. But yeah, just the language, everything was like locked right back into that Conway early issue stuff, and it just felt like home for me.
Yeah, it really did. It was like reading that first part was so comforting. I was just like, oh, okay, we're back.
And the page we're just describing, as this character is climbing up the ladder in the sewer and pushing the manhole cover off, the Beast is thinking, if it hadn't been raining so hard, I would have heard this. And it describes like in minute detail, like I would have heard the grate of the metal manhole cover on its steel rim. I would have heard the rasp of the creature's breathing. I would have heard his feet clatter on the rungs. Like, it's all so super detailed, and taking into account that the beast has elevated hearing and smell, and he would have actually detected these things had they not been deafened out by the rain. Just little details that Conway does like that always turn me on.
Yeah, I mean, this whole script might be his best of the series writing wise. Like, just everything is so good and so poetic in such a great way that, other Marvel books did not do at this time. That's why I think this is his outlet. Like, this is his fun, creative outlet where he really gets to have these things shine and doesn't have to worry about, the giant spotlight being on him for, no, what did you do with Spider-Man? He doesn't have to deal with any of that bullshit.
You can't break the toys.
No.
You already broke one of the toys. People are still pissed. It's only been 3 months, right? 2 months. So in this next page, this character has jumped up onto the street and he's confronted the beast and he's ranting about Sarnak ordering it. You must obey me. And he's clearly an unhinged freak at this point. And we get another panel that is kind of like the one in the last issue with the campers or the hunters and the beast holding the rifle, and you get to see that kind of through the arm and the hip thing. And it was almost like a gunslinger kind of thing. Same thing where you see through his claw and his leg, and the beast is ranting and raving at it, or not the beast, sorry, the villain. And there's this huge panel of him like swiping, and Sutton just goes nuts with this thing because it's almost like motion lines, but they take over the whole panel. So he somehow, how would you describe that? I was trying to think of how.
I don't
it looks
even
like
know.
water.
Yeah, it
right?
looks like water, but it also almost looks like kind of the motion lines of when the Flash would run.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
In the Silver Age. Like, it's such a unique way of conveying motion. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's very, very physical. And so he does a strange attack like that, and the beast kind of like leans backward to get out of his way. The beast is completely taken aback by this dude because he's confronting him. He's ranting and raving. He doesn't know what he's saying, but he can tell by his tone of voice that he's strange. And he's so taken aback and, on his heels by this that the character just reaches out and grabs him by the throat and just gets a good grip on him. And the beast just freaked out.
This villain is choking the beast, and right as the beast is about to black out, he throws the guy off him and goes in for the kill. And I love this part. It says, then his pursuer says, "You think I wear this cape for nothing?" And I love it. Like, I always like when capes are used as an offensive weapon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, Batman has his, so, it'll scare people and bullets will go through it and all different kinds of stuff. But I love it when a person just, takes his cape and just wraps it around the dude's head.
I love the way the beast breaks this hold by putting his two fists together and just coming down like a hammer on top of this guy's head. That was great. And I do love that he retaliates by weaponizing his filthy cape and wrapping the beast's head up.
God, that thing had to smell.
Yeah, I mean, the other way I would describe this guy is that if you're familiar with the pulp character The Shadow at all, he looks like a really filthy hobo train hopping shadow because he has like a red muffler over his mouth wrapped around, and he has his blue suit on, so he kind of looks in that cape, so he does kind of look like the Shadow a bit, but he's clearly filthy and disgusting. You can tell he smells.
Yeah, he definitely smells.
Just by the way he's drawn. Okay, so the fight continues. Then the villain seems to hear a beckoning call from somewhere, and he looks over his shoulder, and meanwhile this same call has caused the beast great pain. He's clutching his ears and screaming to himself. He falls down to his knees. He passes out from the pain. And there's this great panel, one of the panels in here of the beast shrieking in pain as this inaudible to probably most people's ears sound is going on. And he is just racked with pain and shrieking angrily. It's a great close-up of the beast. And when he passes out, there's this really strange menagerie of Figment's dream characters that look nightmarish, like Batman and Snake People, and they're all around him but like at half opacity, and they're just hissing. And what did you make of that, besides it being really fucking cool?
It was really cool and really freaky. And again, that panel would be more at home in a Warren or a Skywold mag. Like, it's just, I got a lot of those vibes in this issue, and you know, also classic EC. Like, this is more of a horror comic than Marvel has done. I think this is the most horror comic issue that Marvel has published so far.
Yeah. And I'm really loving this villain because we've talked a lot about Graham Angles, but he's one of those things like Graham Angles where he just looks gross. Like,
yeah, he does.
He's got like boils and blisters and wrinkles and scarring or whatever, and he just looks filthy and disgusting. He's just repellent.
Yeah. No, I love this. Love this villain, love this issue. So yeah, after that kind of weird, scary dream sequence, we cut to a frightened Jack, like waking up in what is a drunk tank, surrounded by a bunch of LA rummies, which I thought like he looks genuinely terrified. Like his face is really scary. But then I love the guy that one of the rummies above him says, well, looky here, Mr. Sleeping Beauty's come out of it.
Love that.
Oh, it's spelled so great too. And so, yeah, he explains that this is the tank. And Jack kind of freaks out, saying, that's impossible. And he screams for the guard to let him out. And the guard explains that the lieutenant said to bring you to him, like, as soon as Jack woke up. So Jack is led to none other than Lou Hackett, Lieutenant Lou Hackett, on the trail. And he has some questions for him.
One thing I'm loving about Sutton's layouts so far is how many Dutch angles and like everything seems like in this one, Jack wakes up and the panel where he's looking around the drunk tank is a 45-degree angle of like being justified, you know, to our view. And everything's just kind of funhouse and off kilter and disorienting in a lot of this stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's so effective. I'm sure if I knew and was, you know, able to describe better comic art, I think he's using a lot of tricks and skill here that would probably be really impressive to, you know, an actual comic book artist.
So bear in mind, folks, that they found Jack after he turned back into his human form. So he is shirtless and in tattered green jeans in a drunk tank in LA. That's upsetting.
Yeah, it is upsetting. And so yeah, Lou says there's some matters we're hoping you'll clear up. And Jack's like, matters?
Yeah, and Lou is very excited to talk to Jack. You know, he's saying, okay, let me just lay some stuff out for you here. So, you know, a few months ago, your house was attacked by a gang of bikers who attacked your sister. And before that, your chauffeur was murdered by some kind of an animal or a monster. And around that time, a kid named Jack Russell managed to disappear. Which I don't know what that seems so weird. But I think he's alluding to the fact that Jack went to live with Buck after his first few Werewolf adventures. So he's not been home. You know, he's letting him know that I'm asking some questions. He's kind of getting the bad cop mode. He's starting to get angry and worked up. And then he's like, and also we found your wallet. And Jack's like, oh, cool. Thanks. I've been looking for that. And we find out that Philip and Lissa are there to pick Jack up. And they let him in. And Philip's smoking a pipe, oddly enough. And he comes in and, you know, he's saying, well, you know, officer, if there's anything we can help you with, we'll be happy to help. And Hackett's like, yeah, you might, but you can't speak for your kids. They don't seem like they're very willing to help me at all. And so they get in the car and they start to drive home. And Jack's saying, you know, I wasn't really so much surprised to see Philip as I was just annoyed, because if there's one person I can hate in this world, it's this guy.
Yeah, I mean, he knows Philip had something to do with his mother's death. And so,
I just was going to say, Conway is writing Jack with an intensity in this issue so far that I thought was really cool. I feel like if people aren't invested in trying to make Jack someone, he is just a vehicle for a beast just to get to a full moon. And in this time, he's actually got like a weird James Dean, like intense kind of angry young kid thing going on that I like glowering and.
Oh, yeah. And I think Conway kind of might have told us that right off the start, because in the credits, the last listed credit is Jack Russell narrator, which we hadn't seen before. I forgot to mention that at the top of the issue.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, which is, we've obviously known he's been the narrator the whole time, but yeah, I kind of love that touch that Conway did. That was pretty cool.
That is cool.
So yeah, Jack, Lissa, and Philip are in the car. They leave the police station. Philip Russell's looking kind of debonair, right?
Well, Ascot.
Oh man, like that Ascot and pipe combo here are especially funny. And Philip is chastising Jack about walking around half naked and embarrassing the family. And yeah, so Jack and Lissa are kind of whispering to each other about Hackett visiting the Russell Manor and asking about the beach house where the bikers got all fucked up. And Jack tells Lissa, "Don't let that guy worry you. He's just shooting off in the dark." To which I'll say, don't underestimate Lou Hackett.
Yeah.
He has a file.
A big one.
It's a big file. It says Werewolf on it. We talked about it last episode. Yeah. So they go inside, and so Philip threatens to cut Jack off from his inheritance if he doesn't shape up. I love Jack says, "Cut it, Pop. I could care less about Mom's money."
Well, it's air quotes, Pop. He's being sarcastic.
Yeah, he says, he says father in air quotes in the panel above, and then Pop in air quotes. So yeah, he's being pretty sarcastic to his stepdad.
And I like that when they arrive home and Lissa and Jack are whispering to each other about the Hackett stuff, Philip says, "If you two will stop whispering, you realize we're home. You do recognize you're home, don't you, Jack?"
He's such an asshole.
Yeah.
God.
He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been threatened. He's starting to cut off the money for the kids. And Jack says, "I have no interest in the money. You can keep it, you loser." And he goes in his room, slams the door, and he's kind of sulking. And one of those cartoon aroma trails starts kind of coming towards his house. Night starts to fall. And then we see outside the Russell house, manhole cover starts opening up. And it is the same villain, but now he's not alone. He's got some freaky little cloaked buddies with him that are equally gross and disgusting. And they're sneaking around saying, "We must move with stealth if we're to reach the youth without alerting him." So they know who Jack is. They obviously came directly to his house. So there's another character here that has surmised who Jack is and who his other alter ego is. So he's having a pretty rough time of keeping a secret identity here so far.
Yeah, everybody knows but Buck.
So Jack's sitting in his room, and these strange little beasts are kind of scuttering around outside and climbing up onto the roof, and they're very freaky looking. And Jack's sitting at his desk, and then one of them the main villain bursts through the glass into his room.
Yeah, he crashes through Jack's window saying, "Sarnak desires your presence, and so you must come." And then I love Jack suddenly realizes that the moon is coming up, which I always love his surprise because, he's had some time to figure this out.
Well, I mean, in the previous thing, when we see the villain jumping towards his glass, Jack's in his hindsight narration says it was just a quarter hour too late. But yeah, I mean, in the moment, he's always surprised that.
Yeah, so he's like, "Oh shit, the moon." So second night has begun, but we have an off-screen transformation, and I don't know if we have any transformation panels in this issue, which I think is a first.
Nope, I don't think there's nary a one.
Yeah. So, but I love this choice, and it obviously is a choice by Tom Sutton. So there's no transformation. Jack transforms off camera, but instead of those panels, we get like a jump scare panel of the beast at the bottom of the page. It is so rad. It's just out of nowhere. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, this fight, I mean, obviously the villain has completely blindsided Jack, so he has the upper hand. He has advantage. He does one of those Shatner judo chops on the back of Jack's neck, and then he kicks him in the face with bare feet, which, toe jam football down there. Who knows what the hell? That's got to be disgusting. And then, so he's kicked Jack and kind of stunned him or knocked him out for a second, and he's sitting there ranting about Sarnak and blah, blah, blah. And then while Jack is unconscious, he's changing because the beast doesn't care if Jack's awake or not, which I thought was such a cool device.
Yeah.
And then we get that rad jump scare, like you said, where and the villain is kind of ranting and talking, saying, together we will go to Sarnak, and he will be pleased most And then he hears like, pleased, and then Jack springs out.
Oh, it's so awesome.
And the Beast seems to be kind of starting to become a better fighter here as well. He grabs on, takes advantage of his, surprise, and throws this villain into the wall, smashes like a desk or something, like a rag doll, and then he throws him down a flight of stairs into some of his little henchmen. And so he seems to be actually competently fighting.
Yeah, another first.
Yeah. And it's so funny when he throws the villain down into the minions like he's bowling down the stairs. He says, other strange ones on the ground below. They fall, tumble like cubs at play. But this is not play. This is the hunt. And these ones are my prey. And all this crazy commotion, as you might imagine, has woken up Lissa and Philip. And so they come out to the upper landing of the stairs and looking down at the Beast hanging off the chandelier, flying around, kicking weird monsters in their house.
Yeah, so I love those first couple panels. They're again a very cool EC style panels of Philip with a gun. Yeah. And so at first I thought he shot one of the intruders in the head, but I guess he missed. He says, get back, Lissa. I know what I'm doing. Whoever those creatures are, whatever they want in our home, it looks like that shot has frightened them away. But we know there's something else because the Beast suddenly grabs his head again in pain, and the rest of the hobo psychos start kind of shuffling off. Obviously, they're being called by Sarnak to bring the Beast to him.
Yeah, I love the way Sutton is drawing these minion things. They're so creepy looking. They look like zombie. I mean, they're horrifying. They look like those little hooded things in Phantasm or Jawas or something, but they're full sized and just disgusting, horrible little creatures. And I love that last panel as they're being called by Sarnak back, and they're all kind of lumbering out over the beach or wherever they're coming out of the beach house, and they look like zombies or something like that, like lurching around and just being pulled by this call.
Yeah, I honestly think as a comic, like this is the first comic I feel that Marvel has published that if you're a 5-year-old kid reading this comic, it will give you fucking nightmares.
Yeah, totally. The nearest thing I can compare these to is like the Tombs of the Blind Dead, the Spanish horror movies where the Knights Templar come back from the dead and at night and grope around trying to find victims. They're like that creepy, totally horrifying. So yeah, if I was a kid and I'd read this probably would have freaked me out a bit.
Yeah.
So this call has knocked Jack out again. So they pick him up and they scuttle off, and you can see a manhole cover closing, and then we see down in the sewer they're dragging Jack. They have a great little cinematic triptych there. And they're saying, Sarnak wants him alive, so we have to take care of him. And Jack starts to wake up, and he's kind of giving a little side-eye glance, and he hears somebody monologuing at him already, and he's in a little pit. And we get our first glimpse of Sarnak, who has been waiting for Jack to wake up. He's impressed that Jack has woke up so quickly this time. And the Beast starts growling at this strange character who is, has a ring of those freaks, and they're all around him looking down at Jack in this little pit. And he says, "Don't snarl, my pet. I'll not have you snarling. Not here. Not at me. From this moment, I am your master. From this moment, you obey Sarnak and Sarnak alone." So the mighty Sarnak has finally appeared.
Yeah, he's appeared. We know he's the guy that's been sending out these bizarre, like, ultrasonic frequencies. And yeah, even in the first panel on the next page, he says, "But you don't quite understand me, do you, my pet?" It's like, God, Sarnak does call Jack his pet a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I know he's a monologuing villain, but it's still pretty creepy. So yeah, he's basically just monologuing at the Beast. The Beast tries to leap out of the pit to claw Sarnak's face off, but then he uses his what he calls ultrasonic control flute to subdue the Beast. And then Sarnak says that the control flute is now synchronized with the Beast's brain waves, so he won't be a problem in the future. I love this mind controlling flute that Conway has in this. I think it's great. It's a ultrasonic sound weapon.
Yeah. It's very Republic serial kind of supervillain device. It's like a kind of a classic pulpy kind of, weird thing.
It did. I wondered how much of a combo and of like the early 70s, those first like kind of conspiracy theories coming out, like about the military developing sound weapons and things like that. So maybe you read some article in some weird paper. Like, remember when conspiracy theories were fun? They were about aliens and weird military weapons. Like they didn't destroy the soul of a nation.
No.
Like, that was so great.
Yeah. Before we were obsessed with pedophile rings.
Oh my
Those
God.
are fun conspiracy days.
They were.
We need to talk a little bit about Sarnak, though, because we haven't described him for the person who hasn't seen him. He is an interesting looking dude. How would you describe him?
Geez, I had a really hard time trying to come up with some kind of phrase that I had a hard time finding something to compare him with.
So my impression of him is that he looks like if you blended the Serpent Society's Cobra with a K from DC. You know that character?
Yeah, okay.
It's like if you put those two together, that's what he looks like. He has like a cowl on and a green mask. It's a mask, right?
Yes.
I think it's a mask. And green hands that are all gnarly and gross, and he's got like that orange cowl and cape on, and he's a weird looking dude.
Yeah, he's a really weird looking dude. Also fairly terrifying.
Yes. We get a great shot on the next page of this array of these minion freaks. Sutton just goes nuts with these horrifying creatures all kind of pointing and leering and looking at Jack. And so Sarnak's kind of talking about how he wants Jack to join their little army of minions. And again, he pulls out. Jack kind of leaps up again, and once he's got control, and the control flute plays again, and he screams and grabs his head, and he looks like a baboon screaming or something like that. It's very animal and raw pain kind of art there. Finally, this last control flute blast has kind of made Jack meek, the beast. He's just kind of following along now. He's broken.
Yeah, he's been tamed.
He doesn't even wonder how they figured out who Jack Russell was and that he was cursed with lycanthropy. He's just going along with the flow at this point.
Yeah, so then Sarnak is still talking. He says that his reign of terror has been commissioned by the men who created the control flute, the committee. And so we've just been introduced to the big bad organized villain that shows up at various points for the entire run of the book, correct?
Yeah. As far as I can remember, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes almost to the last issue. And he says that Jack's help is crucial to the success of the mission. And then Jack and all the ghouls head off, and they head off to Century City, which, being a Pacific Northwest boy, I wasn't super familiar with, so I had to look it up.
So did I.
Yeah. Did you know about this beforehand?
I'd heard the name, but I heard the name and I knew it was associated with a movie studio, like it was adjacent to a big studio. But that's all I could remember about it.
Yeah, it started out as the backlot of 20th Century Fox and then was sold and was developed. And it's kind of fancy now, right?
Yeah, and I couldn't tell from what I read online if it was fancy in 73.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
Because it's where like producers will go and hobnob at some kind of fine eatery now. Anyway, I imagine it's probably like that in the 70s as well, wouldn't you? Or
I would think so. It probably was like, the neighborhood of the future.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, so they take off. They arrive at Century City and just start fucking shit up, just terrorizing people right off the bat.
They're jumping around like animals, just attacking all the citizens that are walking around the street. Bad juju. We have achieved full berserkness at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then in the next page, I mean, the Beast is given into this now. He's picked up 2 security guards or whatever, or cops maybe, and he's lifting them over his head with his he's getting strong now. He's growing into his wolf form. And Sarnak's just, screaming, "Attack my pets, attack," and just enjoying all this complete chaos. And Jack throws these cops, and he's whirling around, just doing all this destruction, and then he freezes because he sees Lissa is one of these poor victims standing in the streets, terrified and screaming as these disgusting, filthy minion things all charge at her. I think we missed the page where we talked about when Sarnak was doing all that monologuing in the pit in the sewer, that panel that had all the great shots of the creepy things. Sarnak is saying these were all homeless people, essentially. And they're all
That's right.
winos, and they're all sick and within and without, and they're just decrepit things. So I just took them and shaped them in the form I wanted them, essentially. So he has completely corrupted these poor, unfortunate people and made them his slaves, essentially.
Yeah, and so a lot of them are multiple of them. They're all holding Lissa, and Jack is lunging towards them. But then Sarnak blows on the control flute, and the beast again falls to the ground in agony. And the ghouls take Lissa, and they're dragging her down into the sewers. I wanted to read the final narration because I really, really loved it. Who was this man called Sarnak, and what did he want with Lissa and me? And how much of what had happened had been his doing? And what was Jack Russell's cursed fate? I'd know soon when I met the committee.
The end for this month.
Yeah, just a hell of an issue.
Yeah, it was dynamite. I do like the control flute as, like I was saying, kind of a throwback, but also modern kind of take. But I thought it was a little overused in this issue. Anytime Jack posed any kind of a threat, he could be completely neutralized with it. So something that could be overplayed here in the next issue. Or, it's just it's a very powerful weapon that completely hobbles our hero. So has the potential to be a drag narratively as a device. But I trust Conway.
Yeah, well, he's in top form. So, yeah, I'm just excited to have him back, even if it's for 2 issues. Like we've said in multiple episodes, he gets the character. He gets the character because he's a young man himself.
Yes, indeed. How much was Sutton working for Marvel at this point? Was he just a free agent? Were people allowed to do that in the early 70s?
I think in the early 70s it was a little less strict. I'm not sure if freelancers were necessarily married to one company at a time. But Sutton had done stuff. Him and Conway had actually worked together once before. I think it was on an issue, I think Amazing Adventures 11. And it was the first appearance of Hank McCoy as the furry beast.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I went back and read that, and it doesn't really look like this issue. It's Sutton doing the art, Conway doing the script, and a much more kind of typical artist did the inking. I think it was Sid Shores, if I'm correct. Okay. So it's someone that's known, but is also known for kind of a typical comic book style.
Right.
So, but as far as right now, 73, I'm not sure. I think he's working for, I know he's at least, ghosting at Skywald. I know Warren, he was under a pen name on Skywald a lot. It was Sean something. I had it written down. But he did that because so he wouldn't piss off Warren, because Warren would have just burned all the bridges if he knew that Tom Sutton was working for Skywald, because Warren hated Skywald.
That doesn't surprise me.
No. But really, in that battle, Martin Goodman, or not Goodman at least, but Marvel won in the end because they wanted to push Skywald out, and so that's one of the reasons that they think Marvel authorized so many black and white magazines to be published. Like they wanted to, introduce this glut of horror magazines into the market to marginalize Skywald.
And it worked, right?
It totally worked because, Saul Brodsky and Israel Waldman were poaching all of Marvel's talent.
Oh,
they were stealing a lot of people.
Okay.
And so that's the theory, is that, the Marvel brass weren't super hot on Skywald and kind of wanted to, get rid of them. That's the theory, at least. Yeah.
I can completely see Marvel at that point in time ruthlessly answering poaching of their talent.
Yeah,
for sure. Wear Mail by Night. Wondering what kind of flavor you want. Do you want another weird kind of unhinged person, or do you want someone complaining about a niggling detail?
I think you've answered the question already.
Really?
Unhinged all the way.
Okay. Yeah, this apparently is going to be a trope in the letters column. Dear Stan, Gerry, and Mike, I would like to commend you on the great job you are doing with Werewolf by Night. You have done an outstanding job making it as realistic, colorful, full of action and suspense as your other great mags. There's only one point I'd like to make. When Jack changes, he changes too fast. I know you don't have much space, but 3 or 4 more scenes should be used. As a werewolf, I feel I am qualified to make this suggestion. I thought you might like to hear from a real werewolf what it's like to change. I have chained myself in a room set with cameras to record the change after I can no longer think straight. So here it goes. My first feeling is the heat, as if my skin is on fire. The heat slowly sinks into my veins. At this time, my skin starts to sting as the hair begins to grow on my arms, legs, face, all over. Next, my face tightens, pulling and turning up my nose as it gets black, cold, and wet. At almost the same time, my teeth begin growing longer and sharper. Ears grow longer and pointed with a tuft of hair on the ear's tip. My body continues to grow stronger as muscles bulge. Then, my fingernails start to grow long and pointed. At the same time, my toenails elongate, curving into strong, sharp claws. My sole, heel, and toes feel like I'm stepping on hot coals as thick, soft black pads replace tender calluses. Suddenly, I feel a chill down my spine, then a sharp twinge at the base of my spine as the tail slowly pushes its way out, growing long as I begin to gain control of its every nerve and muscle. Slowly as it began, hair stops growing as I emerge a complete werewolf, growling, biting, clawing to get loose. This is what it's really like. It takes 15 to 20 minutes. So now if you'll excuse me, I'll go chain myself up. No name or address given.
That's not as terrifying to me as the actual like Zodiac Killer letter that we got a couple issues ago.
Definitely. Yeah, but you know,
still a little weird, but also kind of like it was written by a 12-year-old girl. But no.
Here's our answer. And there you have it, folks. Perhaps the only hair-by-hair first-hand account of the lycanthropic transmutation ever published anywhere. We just wish you'd sign your name, though, so we could send you the new paperback edition of The Darkhold and maybe cure you. But then again, that might have spoiled your whole time-lapse photography hobby. So growl on. Until the next dish, people, remember what they say in the heart of the Black Forest. Only you can prevent forest fires. We heard it straight from Smokey the Werebear.
Oh, jeez. And also about that 12-year-old girl's letter, I don't think a transformation needs to be more than 3 panels. I'm just going to come out and say it.
Yeah.
It's like an entire 9-panel grid of a slow transformation.
Yeah, it should be a whole issue.
Yeah, that's right. Just one transformation issue.
So, multimedia. Jacob, what are you watching, listening to, reading?
Well, I feel bad. I didn't watch a werewolf movie this week. But you kind of got me. You're doing Noirvember, and so you kind of got me going back and watching some of my favorite noir films. I watched Pitfall from 1948. Have you watched that yet?
No, it is in my queue, though.
Yeah, it's with Dick Powell and Lisbeth Scott, who I love.
Lisbeth Scott is...
God, she's so good.
Stunning.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Ooh, yeah.
And so, yeah, I really enjoyed that. And but I think for next week, I'm going to go off chronology and I'm going to watch Ginger Snaps. Okay. Because you recommended it. Tim Tucker recommended it last week. And so, yeah, that's gonna be what I'll watch. So I'll get back to you next week for that.
Is Dog Soldiers on your list, I hope?
I think so. I wrote down, we had talked about it at the beginning of all this. And so I have a little list and I'm pretty sure that's on it.
It needs to be.
Yeah. What have you watched?
Noir wise?
Yeah.
Man, I've watched a lot.
I know you have.
I watched something called Impact that had, I think his name is Brian Dunleavy. Kind of familiar, just be leading man guy, but I discovered a new woman that I'm in love with. I need to get my time machine out of beer cans finished, but Ella Raines is my new thing. My new lady that I love.
Yeah, I looked up that movie when you were posting about it on Instagram, and she's gorgeous. And yeah, that movie sounds awesome. It's in my queue.
Yeah.
So I think it's on Prime. I think that's where I had it in my queue.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's actually 2 files of it on there. They have a lot of.
Okay.
I think it might be public domain, so it's been put out by several people. Dang, I just watched one that was amazing, and I'm gonna have to check my phone here. So there's Impact, and then I watched Raw Deal from 1948. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh man, it was so good. I didn't really know any of the cast: Dennis O'Keefe, Claire Trevor, Marsha Hunt. I knew some of the supporting cast. John Ireland I know, and Raymond Burr as the villain, a young Raymond Burr.
Oh shit.
But it is stunningly gorgeously shot, pretty hard boiled and grim. The main character is pretty loathsome. It's about a guy that breaks out of jail, and in a classic kind of noirish thing, Raymond Burr is the guy. He went to jail because he didn't want to squeal on Raymond Burr, who had him doing some kind of job that we don't know about. But basically, Raymond Burr lets him break out because he figures he'd probably die when the cops are hunting him down, either in the jailbreak or in the fleeing, and then that just ties up a loose end. So it's one of those kind of dick move things. But yeah, on the run, on the lam from the cops, 2 women, beautiful photography. It's on YouTube, and I also found the TCM Noir Alley intro and outro from I forgot that author's name that hosts that, but he's so cool. I've seen him introduce some noir stuff at the Hollywood Theater a few times. But yeah, he kind of set it up with this great context, and yeah, beautiful stuff. I highly recommend watching Raw Deal.
Cool. Yeah, at least for the weather we've been having in Portland lately, noir films are perfect.
Yeah.
You know, the sun goes down at 4:30 now, and it's raining and windy a lot, so it's time for noir.
Definitely. I've been trying to keep it film noir true strict, but I'll throw in a neo noir here and there just because I do love crime film and neo noir from any era after, the late 50s, but trying to keep it mostly 45 to just 58 kind of is my window that I think of as being classic film noir.
Yeah, that's definitely the era.
So lots of that. I did read the first volume of Zdarsky's Daredevil.
What'd you think?
I liked it a lot. I'm totally in. It's a very cool. I like that it felt to me like Miller, the way he kind of writes Matt. I mean, I know Matt's ever tortured guy, and he's always got the shittiest life of anybody in the Marvel universe at any given moment. But it seemed like he had a really good handle on putting this dude through the ringer. I mean, that is what you do with the guy.
Yeah,
But
I honestly think as far as like dark Daredevil runs, like this is up there with Miller and with Bendis.
Mhm.
Like this is top tier Daredevil, and I love it.
Yeah, I forgot Bendis was particularly cruel to Murdoch, wasn't he?
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a good run too. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's spoiling anything to say that Matt's kind of come back to being Daredevil again after I've been asking you questions through text about clearing some stuff up, but essentially he's kind of got some shaky moments out in the suit again, stalking Hell's Kitchen, and someone dies while he's breaking up a crime. And so it's kind of a crisis moment for him. Like, did he cause this death? And very, very cool approach. I really like it so far.
Yeah, it's interesting that someone can find a fresh take on punishing Daredevil, but there it is.
Yeah.
Him thinking he's behind killing a person, not necessarily an innocent person, but just killing a person unwittingly. And so
Right.
Yeah, that kind of sets off the whole arc, which I love.
Yeah, I mean, it's a liquor store heist, so he's not exactly, killing somebody in the bar with no name or anything. This is just a schmuck. So
Yeah.
Very interesting conundrum, and a great place to put Murdoch under your thumb and squeeze him a little bit. So I'm digging that. And I mentioned that I started Jason Aaron's Doctor Strange, which I'm not the world's biggest Bacallo fan. I totally see why people dig him, and it's just personal taste. It's not like I don't think the guy's fucking brilliant, but he's not my cup of tea for the most part. But he sure fits good in Doctor Strange's world.
He does. I'm not a huge fan of his X-Men, but his Doctor Strange illustrations are amazing. It totally fits. I don't know why. I can't describe it, but it absolutely fits.
Yeah, perfect pairing. I feel like he and Ramos are the two that there's a certain element to their approach to art that it doesn't click with me, but I know that they're super talented and I see why people love them.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Oh, I started reading the Animal Man omnibus, Morrison's Animal Man, because I think that the library only had the first trade for a long, long time, and they finally got like the whole run. I guess DC released those digitally or something. So I had never read the whole run. I'd only read the first 6 issues, I think, up till that famous one with the Roadrunner.
Yeah, I think I've only read the first trade as well. So I'm anxious to hear your opinions on the whole run.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think of Morrison? What's your take on that dude?
I like Morrison. Some of his stuff is a little too much for me. I'm not a prude, but The Filth was a little much for me.
I haven't read The Filth.
You know, I don't know how you feel about it, but I actually really like his Batman run. I think his Batman run is great.
I have not read the whole thing, but I read I read R.I.P. Through probably the first 2 or 3 Batman and Robin with Dick as Batman.
Oh, yeah.
I thought those were great. I love Dick as Batman.
Yeah, I do too. Even though my favorite Dick and Damian story is the Scott Snyder one, The Black Mirror.
Oh, yeah.
Have you read?
Too.
Oh,
yes.
my God.
I
reread that every year. Like, it's honestly one of my favorite Batman stories, weirdly enough, with Dick and Damian. But my God, it's good. Who did was it Jock that did the art on that?
Wouldn't surprise me. I've only read it once, but I really liked it.
So good. Yeah. I like Morrison's stuff. I didn't like The Invisibles as much as I thought I would. I didn't really follow through. I know that's his real famous meta run. And I wasn't crazy. I have the first trade. I never was really interested in anything else. I think his Superman, his All-Star Superman, is probably my favorite Superman run of all time, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common assessment of it.
Yeah, so he's great. I haven't read his new Green Lantern. Have you?
I read the first collection, and, for as esoteric and arcane as Morrison can get, like in Final Crisis and some of his stuff, he can also just be a very unremarkable writer sometimes when he's dealing with another person's property. And I felt like maybe I didn't give him enough of a chance. 6 issues might not have been fair, but I thought it was unremarkable when I didn't pick up volume 2. And I had read every Green Lantern and most of Green Lantern Corps from Jeff Johns' Rebirth. Like, I'd read a lot. So
that's a lot. That's a lot of issues.
Yeah. And I went through a run of a dude who I did not like at all. I think Robert Venditti, I want to say his name is. I read it when I don't like it because it's free from the library, But yeah, I did see somebody talking about it online and saying it was still a solid book and it's kind of top of their pile every week. So, or whatever. Or if it's still being published. So maybe I should try it again or give it another run. I don't know. I
just didn't like the art.
I didn't either. I did not like the art at all.
I don't like the art at all. And I'm just not going to read it. It just isn't interesting to me.
Yeah. The cover of issue 1 had some really bizarre anatomy where Hal's torso is twice as long as it should be. And it wasn't Liefeld level bad, but it was just wait a minute.
No, honestly, that's what made me not read the series, were the drawings of his abs on that fucking first issue. I was just like, that's fucked up. I don't want to read that. That's bullshit. And it made me not read the series, which I would have read because it's Grant Morrison.
The one thing that I do have an issue with Morrison sometimes is that he is a DC dude, dyed in the wool, loves it all, loves to do that thing where you dive into some Silver Age horse shit that everyone's chosen to forget about and pull it in and make it fit into the modern stories. And it's just because he can, Batman R.I.P., that Zur-En-Arr thing where I don't remember what that weird Batman was. He's purple and yellow and some Silver Age alternate dimension version of Batman or whatever. But he somehow made it, and his name was Zur-En-Arr, and then he made it somehow Zorro in Arkham, and that was his trigger to, have you read R.I.P.?
Oh yeah, it's fucking insane. So all those references throughout his run all come from specific Silver Age Batman comics. You can get a collection of them. It's called the Black Case Book.
Oh, and
that's what that is. Every issue that he takes weird shit from.
Batmite.
Like the Batmite issue is so awesome. And yeah, like all of that comes from Silver Age stuff. So when you read the Black Case book after reading his entire run, you're just like, holy shit, this guy is a lover of comic books.
Yeah.
And just has a vast knowledge of Batman's history.
Sometimes I find that a turn off. Sometimes I think it's charming. It depends on the instance, I guess. But sometimes I find that a little, I don't know. Sometimes I think his head's a little up his ass, but I think that happens to me too. So
agreed.
He's an interesting dude. I think I watched a whole documentary about him on Hulu at some point.
Yeah, I did
pretty
too.
Cool. So yeah, I'm still plodding through Invincible. Yeah, still. I broke through the 100th issue mark this last trade, so I think I'm getting close to being done. I think there's only like 4 more trades.
Oh boy. See, I need to start on new stuff. You know what? I should have read new stuff this last week. You know what I did? I reread Tom King's Mr. Miracle for like the 1,000th time.
Yeah, but that's a good one to reread.
Oh my God, it's just so good. Like it's so good and so nuanced, and there's so much information in it that I really get something new out of it every time I read it. And it makes me emotional too. Like it's really one of those books that by the end, like I really tear up. Like it really affects me. Like I think the art is so amazing. That's the best thing Tom King is ever going to do.
Yeah.
I don't see him doing anything better than that. And it's a major accomplishment. Like I think it's going to stand with Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen. I really do.
I loved his Vision story, but it wasn't anywhere near the caliber of greatness that, I mean, the Vision was awesome, but
Vision was incredible, but no,
Mr.
it's
Miracle
not Mr. Miracle.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. No arguments here. Then my next read is Doomsday Clock, which you were kind enough to loan me. So that's my cue right now is Doomsday Clock, pretty much.
That's funny you said that because, what I'm going to read tonight is I'm going to dip back into the Blue Beetle, Len Wein's Blue Beetle arc that you loaned me. So I'm about halfway through that, which I love. It's so much fun.
It is totally fun. There's a lot of throwbacks to the Charlton stuff, like the Madmen and all these little characters are kind of updated and thrown in there. But yeah, I love it. And that run was what made me love The Question. I didn't know anything about The Question before whatever that 2-issue story arc was early in the run. And I was obsessed with The Question after that for the rest of my life. That's also my cue, that Black Label Question that you loaned me.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on that.
That's Lemire, right? No,
yeah, it's Lemire and Dennis Cohen and from
the original.
Yeah,
from the
and Bill Sienkiewicz is fucking inking on that, so it's like holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah, no, the art is unreal good. Like.
Okay.
That's good. I really liked that new Question series. I had a little bit of problems with the last issue, but that's why I'm curious. We'll exchange issues again. I want to get your opinions on that.
Okay. Yeah, I like the Renee Montoya stuff that I've read, but I think the last thing I read with Vic was that 4-issue miniseries that Rick Veitch wrote. Did you ever read that one where he's like this ayahuasca fueled shaman who can like see ley lines, and it was really fucking weird.
Oh, that's cool. No.
And it's all hallucinatory, and like he's in Metropolis and Superman's not very happy about it, and he's just kind of roaming around the arts like this kind of digital painted it's really cool.
Wow.
Can't remember what it's called, but it came out around maybe 15 years ago. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, the Renee Montoya Question showed up in Rucka's latest series, that Lois Lane, which was a pretty noir feel for that series. Definitely the most noir I think I've read a Lois Lane comic. But yeah, it's great.
I still need to read. Was it Gotham Central that he wrote?
Yeah,
I still haven't read that. I love Rucka. I don't know why I've never read that.
Awesome. Yeah, Rucka's so awesome, and he's a Portland dude.
Yeah. I don't think I've actually talked to him at any comic shows, but he's always there.
This is funny, but I used to play records, as you know, at a cigar bar off Hawthorne, and I'm pretty sure he would come in sometimes. on the Sundays that I would play. He's a big jazz fan. I kind of thought it was him, and I kind of think that I had a little bit of a conversation with him about jazz. But yeah, it was one of those to where, he's kind of he kind of just wears like, a stocking cap and just like normal clothes. He kind of has earrings in both of his ears, which is kind of why I think it was him. But it was one of those like quasi celebrity interactions where I'm like, is this Greg Rucka? Like, I want to say something, but it also just totally might not be.
That's funny.
Yeah. But no, it's nice. And it's nice living in Portland because, it's become, comic central. Like every creator lives here now. But Rucka was one of the first. Like Rucka's been here a long ass time. Like at least as long as Bendis.
I was going to say, I thought they were, around the same time for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think David Walker's been here a really long time too, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So I think those guys have been there a long time. And then you had Fraction and Kelly Sue moved here. And, now Image fucking Comics is based here. So,
Yeah. Yeah, Dark Horse, Image. Oni.
Yeah, Oni and Dark Horse were the first. I had an ex-girlfriend who was worked at the front desk at Dark Horse. And so, that was kind of fun back in the day when Hellboy was really big. And I was most excited because they were printing Tony Millionaire's Macchies.
Yeah, I like Macchies.
Yeah, I really loved that. That was some bizarrely subversive shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, Portland's always been a comic town. It always has been. Oh, and at least in Oni, and I think this is the first big comic that Greg Rucka did, was Whiteout.
Oh, I love Whiteout.
With Steve Lieber. Holy shit. Like, that's some fucking amazing stuff.
Lieber lives here, doesn't he?
Yeah, Lieber lives here. He just illustrated Fraction's Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Oh, it's so good. Like, I have the issues. They're so good.
Wow.
Like, it's the most crazy take on Jimmy Olsen, but also, like, Fraction has poor Steve Lieber drawing in, there's 10 different styles of art per issue. Like, the issues are broken up into these little, like, chapters that are, like, 2 or 3 pages, and each chapter is a completely different art style. Like, it's an amazing feat.
I'll have to read that. That's worth. I remember you telling me before that you were enjoying that.
Oh, it's great.
Is it done?
It's great. Yeah, it's done. It's collected now.
Okay. So I can.
And yeah, I love Fraction. I think he swings big on every project he does, and not all of them have worked for me. But the ones that do, they work so well that you're almost kind of like, fuck that guy, man.
Yeah.
Why is he so fucking good? Like, come on.
Speaking of swinging big, did you see the new trailer for the Justice League Snyder Cut?
I didn't. I've avoided it.
Gerry Conway was talking about it on Twitter and just kind of saying, like, at this point, I'm almost thinking this guy actually hates comic books and he just can't admit that, I mean, like, so I clicked on the link that he posted and watched it, and it's a lot of the original Justice League movie, which I thought was one of the worst things I'd seen in years. And that was, I had That's Cool, That's Trash, where I watched bad movies professionally. It was terrible. But this one, he just turned the saturation off, so it's black and white. And used Hallelujah again, like he did in Watchmen. And it was atrocious. So I had to write back to Conway and say, it's like he's trolling comic book fans. Like, this is some Andy Kaufman level bit that he just will not stop doing. Like, he seems to actually hate superheroes.
Yeah, when I heard that Hallelujah was used as the soundtrack, at first thing I'm just like, poor Leonard Cohen. That song has just been beat to death since fucking Shrek, Like, oh my God, it's just fucking awful.
He needs
I feel so bad for him. It needs to be retired from all movies for all time.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, Zack Snyder's garbage. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna refute me on that.
I think that he does not care for superheroes, and like, I mean, his reference point is Watchmen, right? I mean, the ultimate deconstruction of the mythology, and I mean, I watched Man of Steel. Did he direct that? Yeah.
Yep.
I hated that. I'm not a big Superman fan anyway, but I hated his take on the character. And I don't know. I don't get him, man.
No, you're right. He's like a teacher who hates children.
Yep.
You're just like, why do you do this, man? Why is this your job?
Yeah. So I guess this is coming out on HBO Max as a mini series or broken up into segments. So he's shot new stuff.
God.
Took all the Whedon stuff out and put his stuff back in that Whedon messed with before the theatrical cut. So it's restored and added to and expanded and joyless, loud, stupid. Somebody else, I was enjoying the whole thread after Conway's post, and somebody was just saying like, wow, it takes a lot of work for someone to make a Barry Allen that nobody likes. Like that's a major feat.
I love that Conway was shitting on it too. That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
He's great.
He is great. If anybody knows how to reach Gerry Conway that's listening right now, can you tell him that we want to talk to him? He'll know where to find us.
We really want to talk to him.
Yeah. I'm one notch away from just tweeting at him, but he's an older guy. I think that's rude. I think that's internet rude. And the guy that's like old enough to be my dad, I would not want to be internet rude to while asking for a favor. So trying to find another way to approach him than just saying, hey, Gerry Conway, interview me. Or, come on my show, coward.
You're going to get drunk one night and just do a drunk message to him. It's going to happen.
I really thought after the election that he would be in a good mood and I could just kind of DM him and he'd be like, yeah, fuck it. Why not? I'm in a good mood. But yeah, he doesn't take DMs. So
no,
he doesn't have a website.
And he's notoriously cranky. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, join us next week, folks, for the second part of this story from Mr. Conway and Mr. Sutton. Find out what's up with the committee. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves. Till we meet again beneath the full moon, furry ones. Here's howling at ya.
We're